If you're the one running the numbers for relocating to Chattanooga while your partner is carrying the life you're about to leave, this video is for both of you. Most relocation content is written for one person. It's the one charging towards something, a new city, a new job, a new life that makes the move make sense. But almost every real move is a two-person decision. And right now, the two of you are having two different conversations. And neither one of you is saying yours out loud. One of you is at the laptop, figuring out the finances, trying to make sense of Chattanooga's unique market, building the case for yourself as much as for your partner. Underneath the spreadsheet is a fear that he won't say. And that fear is, what if I move us and I get it wrong? What if I'm so careful we lose the right opportunity? Or not careful enough and I misjudge the biggest decision we've ever made? We don't get a do-over. And I'm the one who has to pull the trigger. The other one isn't doing math. Underneath her quiet is a fear that she won't say either. What if we go and I never build it back? What if I leave everyone I know and I never belong there? Two fears, the same root. Neither of you wants to make a mistake that you can't take back. And here's the part that does the damage. Each of you is reading the other's silence as agreement. He thinks she's on board because she's not saying anything. She's not saying anything negative. She thinks he's certain because he's so certain about the numbers. Neither of you is. You're each trying to protect the other from the fear you're carrying alone. Most agents, lenders, and title officers are paid to close the deal and not protect the relationship. Not because they're heartless, it's just not on the checklist anyone's holding them to. Almost nobody in real estate talks about that conversation. This video talks about both. I'm Kelly Bridenstine. I own Broadstone Media LLC, a luxury relocation media platform, and additionally and separately, I'm also a licensed realtor with eXp Realty in Chattanooga. I work with buyers relocating from larger markets, the Northeast, the Bay Area, the DC corridor, just to name a few. The content I publish through Broadstone Media is market education. It's not brokerage advice, and it's not a sales pitch. This episode exists because the two most important conversations in a relocation are the two that almost never get said out loud. The first conversation has an answer. Does the city work? Do the numbers hold? Does the math? You can research that and you can stress test it. And at some point you can confirm it or you won't. And for what it's worth, here in Chattanooga, the math holds. But that's a different episode. The second conversation doesn't fit in a spreadsheet. And there are two versions of it, one for each of you. The careful, analytical person's fear isn't that he'll be reckless. Almost never. It's exactly the opposite. It's that he'll be so careful, he loses. Here's what the market does to a careful buyer. Too careful. Right now, there are 49 homes for sale on Signal Mountain at the filming of this video. 6 on Lookout, 55 total across the two mountains, and this is the quickest moving ground in the data. Signal Mountain averages about 50 days on the market. The market as a whole averages 103, but that 103 is the number that gets a careful buyer in trouble. It's inflated and dragged up by 70 listings that have sat past 6 months, some past a year, and one for nearly 3. The 2 mountains have none of those. Nothing up there goes stale. So the market average isn't describing the home you actually want. The ground you want moves in half the time, and it never collects the dead inventory that makes the rest of the market look slow. Where the rest of the market might look like more like a buyer's market, most homes in this micro location move fast. So picture the buyer who does everything right, studies all of the comps, waits for the perfect one, and then decides to make his move, speaks with an agent, and even wants to come in strong, over asking. And it's already gone. Not because he was wrong, not wrong about the house, but because he read the market average 100 days and assumed he had time. The ground he wanted was moving in 50. His fear is real. The irreversible mistake isn't only overpaying, hesitating on the one that was right. Now let's talk about her fear. Hers isn't about the house, but she can find a house. It's about everything that doesn't fit in the moving truck. The friendships that took 15 years to build and nourish. The version of her that only exists in that place. The community her kids grew up inside. None of it packs. It cannot be shipped, and it doesn't auto-forward to the new address. Her fear is the same shape as his, a mistake that she can't undo, but pointed at a different kind of loss, not the transaction, herself, her life as she knows it. Here's what she's not being told. The thing she's afraid of losing has somewhere to land. None of this is as simple as find a cute cafe and you're fine. The women around her at the dinner table where she is right now, they didn't come from a museum or a club or a cafe. They came from 15 years of showing up at school events, at work, at the same Tuesday night things, until strangers weren't strangers anymore. So I'm not going to pretend there's a shortcut here. There isn't. There isn't a program in Chattanooga that hands you a new best friend. That doesn't exist anywhere. What there is here, and this matters, is that you are not moving into a vacuum. There are groups that exist purely so newcomers don't have to start from zero. There are neighborhoods where half the street probably moved from somewhere else and remembers what it felt like. There are studios, offices, volunteer projects, and faith communities where people who did exactly what you're considering now are sitting on the other side of and knowing that they found their place. Now, none of that replaces the life you already built. It just means if you decide this is worth building toward, there is a real ground here for a life like yours to land on. I'm not going to tell you that all of these people are perfect and right for you. I don't know you that well, but the door is not closed. The world that she's afraid of losing exists here, and it's open. So here's what's true for both of you. To her, I would say, you didn't know anyone when you started the life that you have now. And you didn't know the people who are now irreplaceable to you. You didn't know the city before it was your city. You built it from nothing, deliberately, over the years. And that is already what you know how to do. To him, I would say this. The decision you're afraid of getting wrong, it has an answer too. It's not a guarantee, but it is an answer. You can know the velocity, the real cost, the local property tax that moves the number before you ever commit. The mistake was never moving. The mistake is moving blind or freezing because you couldn't see what the options actually were in front of you. The question was never whether the two of you could do this. You've both done harder things in your lives. The question is whether this particular place is worth building toward. And that one has an answer that you can reach before you make that commitment. So here's the one thing I'd ask you to do. It's really simple. Just say it out loud, both of you to each other. Not the math, the fear that's underneath the math. He says the one about getting it wrong, and she says the one about being alone. Just say it out loud to each other. Because right now, you're carrying half of this in silence. And you're calling the silence agreement. Most moves don't fail in the numbers. They fell in the gap between the two conversations where each of you quietly assumed the other was already sure. The Broadstone Diagnostic is built exactly for that gap. It's a structured conversation, and it's not a sales call. It's about your specific move, the timeline, the submarkets, the lifestyle that you want to build here. And it's built for both people in the decision, because both conversations are real, and both of you are in this. Taking it creates no agency relationship, no obligation. If the questions and concerns in this episode are the ones that you've been sitting with alone, the link is in the description. I'm Kelly Bridenstine, and this is Chattanooga Curated.